Good day to all. Welcome to Straight Talk with Greg Middleton. My name is Alexandra. With this introduction, here is Greg.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to my Straight Talk show. I've been having a quite lively conversation with a friend of mine, a community activist, and he's kind of retired like me, so us young old men are ready, willing, and able to do a lot of good work in this community. But we have been on the subject of the challenges in the black community. And for those who didn't see episode 1, this is Ibrahim Naeem. We did make our introduction in the last show, and I do encourage you to see that because this is a continuous show, and we want to continue the same conversation. We were talking off air, Ibrahim, about days back, we had this thing called the Black Male Forum. Can you tell people what the intent of the Black Male Forum was?
Okay, I'll take you back. That was in the 80s.
80s, yep, 80s. I remember.
Mm-hmm. The intent was, well, we had a discussion about the fact that there was so much difficulty in the community because so much crack cocaine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And young men were on the corner dealing crack. Mm-hmm. Crack was wreaking havoc, breaking up families, people losing their homes. And there were other and violence in the community because of that, because
a lot of issues,
territorialism of the crack dealers, etc.
And the gangs and all
gangs
that.
And so so the challenge was that there were several of us who decided, you know what, we are men in this community.
Right.
It is our responsibility to address the issues of our community. You know, we can't expect women to address some of these issues, dealing with young men, teenage boys who are, you know, very difficult for women to handle. Difficult for men to handle.
I know.
So we wanted to have a forum where men could come together to look at community issues and try to address them. And so our thought was that all issues have solutions, and that you know, challenges are to be resolved and to be fixed. So we started having regular meetings at Robinson Park.
Right.
You know, so
I remember.
Yeah. So that's how we got started, and just to name a few people, Prentice Diedrich, what is
Horace Wormley.
Horace Wormley.
You remember Isaac Richards back in the days?
I was gone to San Diego by the time Isaac came, so I have heard about Isaac.
What was the brother who wore that net hair?
Michael Zinzin.
Michael Zinzin.
Yeah, Michael Zinzin.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we had a powerful community back there.
And we still have a powerful community.
And you and I have been talking about that, and several other, like Prentice and Horace. We were talking about re-initiating that Black Male Forum. But this time, we were like 20 years older, almost 30 years older. That much wiser. Most of us are retired, and we got a lot to offer to the community. I'd really like to see us reinvigorate that organization.
Well, I did mention that to Prentice just a couple of Saturdays ago.
Okay.
And so we have yet to have any further conversation. But I did call him today and left him a message just in anticipation of the fact that we'll be talking about this on your show.
Right on air, Prentice.
So I think it's a good thing to do. I think it was a broad table. We need to have a broad you know, inclusive table.
Right.
And there are so many young men now who are the age that we were
back then.
Who are doing good things in this community. Sometimes we don't know all the good that gets done in our community, and so that's a challenge in and of itself, because if we're not hearing about good things, then we're not able to support them the way we should. So,
and you know, just when you said that, when I thought about this Black Male Forum, and if you look at a lot of the leadership in our community in today's world. our females are cooking.
I'm 100.
They are cooking.
I'm so supportive of that, and I think it's just such a wonderful thing that we have, we have always had strong black women.
Always.
Always.
That's part of our community.
Exactly.
Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. Zora Neale Hurst. We could just go down history and start naming them.
Right.
Go back to Harriet Tubman.
Oh, God.
I mean,
Well,
so,
we've never been a chauvinistic race, basically.
well, we can do better though.
We could do a lot.
I'm sure
lot
the sisters
better.
will say you get a C plus. But
Right.
but
Yeah,
you,
I'm
but
sure
you
our
got a
sisters
ways
won't
to
say,
go.
no.
We
Y'all
got a
don't get
ways
off.
to go.
But that's a very good point. Like I said, when we say the black male forum, maybe we should re-tag it or rethink it, because there's a lot of wisdom in our community, collective minds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I understand the need to have a strong black male in the family for guidance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for whatever purposes that serve. But it's not to say that women are less than. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like statistics prove that a mother and father in the house, two parents, can raise a child a little more effectively. Statistics.
Yeah.
If we just
Yeah.
do a statistical point of view. So one parent is hell. And the other thing, and you and I were involved in what's that mentoring partnership for youth development.
Right.
I was the executive director there, and you was on the board. And the whole notion that we're trying to tell a lot of the mothers is very difficult for a mother to raise a growing young man. You know, because of this whole gang mentality and the way we just, a lot of these young men that we tried to mentor thought they could just run over their mothers. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, because a lot of women grab them by the ear and sit down, boy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's impossible, but when you use just statistical things, if we had the family structure back together, it would be so much more to gain.
Absolutely, it would be ideal to have the traditional nuclear family.
Right.
But I think what has to happen as well, just going back to the black male forum.
Right.
I like the idea of men getting together.
Right.
In community and in a forum to discuss things. I think
Very
it's
good.
important to have that kind of bonding.
Right.
Among black males, and to have a sense of responsibility as males.
Right. I
For the
like that.
well-being of the community.
I like
not
that.
not exclusive of
Right.
the women, but in a partnership with the women. Because if you really look at it, the women are more organized in our community than we are.
Hey.
They are much more organized.
You know, that takes me, and I won't make the show about me, but I started back, I think, 2002 or something like that. I had this thing called Real Men Seminars. And the key was, men don't talk. We don't share. We cover up our emotions. So we don't share things because it makes you like a wimp. You know what I mean? So when I started this organization, maybe 20, 30, 50 guys would get together, and we start talking about family, about our wives or whatever we were going through, and say, wait a minute, you must be married to my wife because she's just like that. But when we start sharing, we found that it was so freeing, because we thought we were in this bubble by ourselves. And it's so much, like I said, this male bonding thing is not to say anti-female anything, but men do things a certain way. You know what I mean? And when we bond together as male like that, then we take that home and improve home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Black Male Forum, now upon second thoughts, I think it should stay the Black Male Forum.
And we always, it wasn't exclusive. It wasn't as if no women allowed.
Right.
We would invite different people into the
Right.
forum to have discussions.
Right.
We would invite we would invite the mayor. We would
Right.
invite city councilmen.
City mayor,
we would
manager.
City manager. We'd invite pastors. As a matter of fact, some
Right.
pastors were actual members
Right.
of the forum.
I
We would
remember.
invite. And we invite women who have issues that they wanted to bring to us.
Right,
And
right.
so I think it was a good structure, and I think it's worthy of our reconsideration, and I hope we can move forward in that direction.
Another issue too, and like I said, we're talking about challenges, but also opportunities. And back to our female counterparts, our sisters, like I said, really in the world of politics, they're stepping up. And in the world of getting our people out to vote, they're really stepping up. And if you, in fact, you were at a college, what are the statistics of male-female ratio on the colleges? It ain't equal.
No, more women actually pursue higher education.
Right.
And actually, more women are successful in their pursuits.
Right.
And so it's important that we continue to engage the best and the brightest of our community.
Right.
In whatever ways we can. So I'm a cheerleader for
right.
for black women.
I remember back, I forgot to, my book is on Amazon, Real Men, What's Happening with Our Males. But back then I was doing all this research, and I think it was something that at one point females are going to college 9-1 over black males, over males in general. You know, females, I said, well, if the females getting all these high education, and like this was like 20 years ago now, and look at society now. Who's the movers and shakers? Women are in the corporate, CEOs and everything, because they have these educations and they've improved themselves, make themselves job worthy. But what are the men doing? And like you said, even back then in the welfare mom days, the men was encouraged to get out of the house. You know what I mean? And a lot of men went aloft doing lofty things. You know what I mean? But the women couldn't afford to leave because they had to raise the children. They need money. They need resources. So they raised the kids, went to college, all that stuff at the same time, and deadbeat dads. I hate to put it that way. You know?
Yeah.
But I said, what's happening, males, if we're not going to stand up and educate ourselves and compete and bring the breadbasket in, then this is going to flip over in a minute. That Amazonian society, remember those books back in the day? And it's kind of there.
I think it's important for us to be open to our reality and to look for ways to accommodate that reality.
Right, right.
So that, every woman who is highly educated may not be able to marry a man who has a similar educational background.
Right.
So that poses a challenge. But
Right,
I'm
right.
all about solving challenges.
Right,
Challenges present opportunities.
There you go. I like that.
So that we're going to take it from that perspective. And likewise, there's so many more things, and people make a living so many different ways now.
Right.
And I was just reading an article the other day about the challenge of getting people back to the office after the COVID.
After COVID.
So that whole structure, societies change. And so we have to be fluid as well to be able to shift and change with the society. I think what's important for us is to have the right mindset.
Right.
So that we understand what's important for our benefit and our survival and our progress. That's what's important. And so however fluid we have to be to benefit from the changes that societies naturally go through, we also have to make sure that we keep a mindset and a commitment to what is best for our community and ourselves as a people.
You told me something, I hope you don't mind if I share about, you were trying to instruct your sons to this and that, and they said, yeah, Dad, but you got to keep up.
Absolutely. That was a great lesson that my sons gave me.
Share that with me.
Well, well, I'll tell you the story I was shared with you, that I was living in San Diego. I lived in the Granite Hills area, and it was a fairly upscale community, and so lived way up on the top of a hill. And so one day I was coming home and I was driving up the street and I heard basically the whole neighborhood being cursed out by rap music because all kinds of four-letter words and multi-syllable words were being broadcast to the neighborhood, and my sons were washing their cars and they had their stereo blasting, and I had to have a little talk with them about that. And so, but I've always been a jazz man, but they were into hip hop, and I never really got into it. And so they were telling me, well, when we had our little family discussion
Right.
about that this will never happen again,
Right.
you know, then they would tell me, well, Dad, you stay current too.
Right.
Don't embarrass us
Right.
by not staying current.
I like that.
So I had to start listening to hip hop, and I started and finding those artists who were putting out positive messages.
Right.
And so I learned a lesson from them.
Well, yeah, and that goes to a much broader point too. I think we don't really listen that well to our children. Number one, because we think we are smarter than them, because we have more maturity, more experience. But when you think about it, think about your parents. And we said, wait a minute, y'all old. We had the same attitude. But here's the thing, and speaking about opportunities and how let's look more positive into the future. When you really think about it, we'll be gone, our generation will be gone, and they'll still be here.
Yes.
So we can't hold on to the reins so tight. I think our thing is to share our wisdom with them and say, now, I want to put you in the lead. How can I support you? Because this is going to be your world.
Absolutely.
Not mine.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I don't think us as elders are willing to turn the reins over.
Well, I think we're probably a little more comfortable with turning those reins over than we like to acknowledge.
Right, right.
Anytime you have a problem with your computer and you can't get it fixed, you come into you run to your sons or your daughters or nephews and nieces to help you fix your computer, or show you how to operate this particular program, or how do I stream my TV shows now that I don't want to use cable, and you know, so yeah, you know, we are more dependent upon them than we like to acknowledge, because they are in tune with the current world. And in fact, there's a song that says, children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
We are the world.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
Right.
So this is what we need to do.
That's great. That's great.
That's exactly what we need to do. And I think that's where I am in terms of looking at what iteration, the next iteration of the Black Male Forum is to be able to have gray beards, white beards like us, along with young men who are at different stages of their development, to be able to mentor, to guide, and to encourage them, and to learn from them, because they have a better sense of the current world than we do.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, because as I think about it, they grew up with smartphones. They grew up with computers. This is like their back of their hand to them.
Absolutely.
And when I get ready to get something done, I ask my granddaughter, well, can you show me how to do this? You know, give me the phone.
There it is.
They don't tell me how they did it. They just
take them longer to teach you than it is just to do it.
I know. So, I mean, I admire their generation, but we're talking about the challenges of the Black community and the opportunities of the Black community. Like I said, this is not our grandfather's time.
No.
You know what I mean? So there is so many opportunities out there that were not as prevalent when we grew up, as a race, as a village.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I'm just wondering, you've been in college campuses and that, does it appear that this what's a generation called now?
I don't even keep up with that.
I know. Well, the kids.
Young men, young women.
Are they taking advantage of all these opportunities that are out there that are so openly available and ready, in your opinion? Well, how about your children?
Well, they're doing their own thing. They're
Right.
doing their own thing, you know. I have boys, so I don't have to stay as closely attached. They keep me at a little distance. But you know, but they're doing what they want to do. And so they're doing well. If I don't get phone calls needing money transfers to their account, I think everything is going well.
Exactly. Yeah. And now that brings another broader point that I wanted to bring up too, because just take the Pasadena community and surrounding areas. There's a lot of good young talent out there. I had Brendan Lamar on my show a few times. I mean, why aren't we selecting our future leaders and nurturing them and mentoring them and sending them through apprentice program so they can actually gain our knowledge instead of they bumping on the same walls that we bumped upon? I mean, it's even seeming like it's something within our Black Male Forum that should be one of the wings of the program.
I agree 100%. I think that's part of the part of the beauty of a forum that is a community forum,
Right.
that integrates the different age groups and has open conversations about and good lively conversations.
Right,
I
right.
don't mean that the old heads just get to dominate the conversation. and-
Right, right.
Because we know.
Right,
we,
right.
We live.
We know what's best.
Yeah,
Father knows what's best.
Exactly. I did that 50 years ago stuff. You know, but the world is not, the world doesn't
That's a different
run
world.
the same way that it
Right.
ran 50 years ago. And strategies that are going to be effective in the future are going to come from young minds who know how this system has evolved
Right.
and where it's evolving to.
You know, when you were at PCC, those forums we do for the black males, and then they did the sister forum for the
Yeah.
black females. In fact, that's really a great concept within itself. Males get together, tighten our acts together. Females get together, tighten their acts together. Now we come together as a village. You mean? So that kind of separation, because males are usually more freer when they don't have to impress the females in the room. Because when they have to impress the females, we think, hey, I'm sorry. So, but, and then you said, if you were around a bunch of males, come on, man, sit down. You know what I mean? So you
Right.
can't impress me. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to that. That male bonding, that female bonding now come together. Now we have a whole village
Right.
concept. I like that.
I think it's important that our genders operate differently.
Think differently.
Think
operate
differently, operate differently, you know, and so I think it's important for us to have the freedom to have those forums where we don't have
Right.
that whole concept of trying to impress one another. And
Right,
that's it.
right.
But I think it's critically important that we have a integrated community
Oh, of course.
discussion as well about how we do things. You know, just start thinking of some of the organizations in our community. You know, you got Boule, you got frats, you know, you
Right.
have sororities, you have
Right.
all these different female organizations. Then you have the organizations, the traditional civil rights organizations, like the NAACP. And so I think it's important for us to begin to do a little stitching and a little
Right.
knitting in our community
Right.
to knit all of these things together and to be able to produce a strong fabric.
Right. I like that. You know, we were talking a little bit offline too. It would be beneficial for all of society, all races, if everybody could support themselves. So if you are creating a permanent underclass, then that's problems for everybody. Who you think they're going to rob? The poor rob the poor? No, the poor going to rob the rich. But if we had an integrated society where everybody has the freedom to get their own, to be respected, you know what I mean, then it's better for everybody. It's not black or white.
That's a very important point. And I thought about it as I was walking over here, walking from the car here, that it's important for us to come together as a total community.
Human race.
Total community.
Right.
You know, but that requires that each of the areas have had coalesced themselves, and then we bring everybody together. Now, in terms of young people, I think this is where they have a definite benefit.
Right.
Because younger people are more familiar and more integrated than we are as a society.
Right.
They have grown up in integrated environments. They listen to similar and the same music.
Right.
A
lot in common.
They are more familiar with one another, and I think that it bodes well for our future in terms of being able to have good, honest, and sincere communication and doing something that's positive.
You remember that I Have a Dream speech when Martin Luther King was saying, I dream of a day when my little black children, these little white children can walk hand in hand and do all this. And what a great dream. We might be halfway there, but we're not there yet. But it is a distinct possibility because I don't see little black kids and little white kids growing up with this venom like we had. Do you?
Not to the degree that we had it.
Right.
Not to the degree that we had it.
Except when you look at the top of politics. Now that's a whole nother subject. We don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Let's just don't.
You know, I'll go there just to the extent that, you know, I was asked about politics by a friend of mine, and I was saying, you know what, I look at them sometimes
like kids,
as though, you know, the Republicans are red,
right?
The Democrats are blue. What does that remind you of?
Right.
What does that remind you of?
It's kind of like a flag.
You know, it reminds you of the Crips and the Bloods.
Oh, God.
That's what it reminds me of.
It does, yeah.
And there's some partisanship is that same
gang mentality.
And so who's doing the bidding of really the American people?
Who?
If we're so compartmentalized that we can only agree with our group, and we have to oppose everything that your group is proposing, then how do we ever win as a society?
That's a good note for us to kind of start closing down on, because what we're advocating here is not separatism. We're advocating everybody getting healthy.
That's right.
And then sew that into one fabric. Because we have to live in this society together.
Absolutely.
And Ibrahim, I hope you will come back, but I want to get us as a group and discuss these things, get more than just me and you. Let's get 3 or 4 minds together and just have an open dialogue. I would like to see this with white people eventually. I mean, tell me your side of the story. You know what I mean? Help me understand you, and let me let you understand me. But anyway, we're flat out of time here. This has been so invigorating, and I want to get you, if nothing else, I got to get you back. I want to hear about that underground railroad story going through your town.
Okay.
That would be a great show, too. Thank you so much, Ibrahim.
It's my pleasure, Greg.
All right, then.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay.